Annyce, shall we start? Excellent. All right, everyone. I am very excited to start off our Meetup Live. This is going to be a tech edition. We have some great topics, so we'll go over the agenda. But first, I would just wanted to start off with, if you have not yet, please check out our Keep Connected podcast. This is something very new. It's very exciting. We've got tons of positive feedback. So if please check this out. You can scan the code, and we'll bring this up again later at the end if anyone needs it. All right. So some event guidelines. I'll keep this short, but this event is recorded. You will not appear on the video, but we will. The audio will be muted for this event, so you can listen to us. If you have questions, just make sure you submit your questions in the Q&A. The chat is going to be active, but as we're presenting, we prefer all the questions to be in the Q&A, which we can answer at the end. Closed captioning is available. To turn it on, click on the icon at the bottom of your screen and select your preference. All right, a quick agenda. We're going to do a quick round of introductions. We're going to then jump into the native apps. Quick highlight, there's a ton to cover there. Annyce Davis, who's here, who I'll be introducing in a few minutes, is going to cover through most of that. But I do want to make sure that this is more going to be on the technical side, strategy, a little bit of the product. So if there's many questions, the product questions are going to be teed up for the next event. So don't worry, we know there's a lot, but we'll try to cover as much as we can today. And again, the last 10 minutes, it's going to be Q&A. For the folks that know me, hello again. For the folks that do not, I'm the CTO at Meetup. I joined in October. I'm very excited. I won't spend too much time here. I've been 16 years in different startups, a lot of disruptive tech companies. I used Meetup as a member by joining many of the soccer groups, and I've just started an organizer for Bangladeshis in tech. So if you're from Bangladesh and you want to join that, come and join me. I just started it. It has a total member of 1 right now, so I'm looking for more members. Before I go to the next slide, I just want to say 2 things about me just that are fun things. My favorite programming language is C++. I've never used it as much, but for the techies out there, that is my favorite. And my favorite programming language that I love and I hate is JavaScript. We could talk about that for hours, so I will not. And you can also follow me on Twitter on it's Rajib Ahmed. And now I'll turn it over to Annyce.
Hello, everyone. I'm Director of Engineering here at Meetup. Just a little bit about my background. My specialty, I'll say, is Android and Kotlin development. I'm a conference speaker and also an online educator. And you can find me on Twitter at BrownGirlDev.
Great. So a quick introduction to our native apps team. For everything that we do, we have one of the best teams that I've ever seen. This is the mobile team. It has iOS engineers. It has Android engineers. It has folks that knows the APIs, a multitude of different skill sets that exist. The engineering, this is all led by Annyce, Samantha, who is the dev manager, followed by Tyler, Sam, Richard, Steve, Tina, Patrick, Emily, and Colin. They are all absolutely awesome. They care about our product, they care about our mission, and I couldn't start off this meeting without introducing them. So thank you, team. And I wanted to give a shout out to them all here because everything we do is really done by this team over here. All right. Some fun mobile stats. So before we talk about our strategy, I just wanted to share some fun stats. We have 14.2 million iOS app downloads to date and 12.8 million Android apps. So our user base on apps is significant. There's tons of downloads. We know that this is a wonderful metric. We know that there's a ton of folks across the entire globe that are using our apps. And so scale and what we do to make sure the apps are always in their best is a deep focus for us, but I wanted to share that fun stat. Since the pandemic hit, we've done 2 million online events. And this is record-breaking for us because we've never had online events before the pandemic. And now we know this is going to be part of our future. But because of online events, we've seen 12.2 million RSVPs that came through. And from there, we have almost 1 out of 3 of our RSVPs actually happens on the apps. So we know it's a major platform for discovering the different events that are out there, the different groups that participate, and being able to join them is very seamless. Making it discoverable, making it fast and quick on our mobile apps is super important. The last thing I will say is that we hear a lot from you. We have tons and tons of reviews. There's about 10.1K reviews. This is just per each of the releases. So anytime we do a release, we get about 10,000 comments and feedbacks and improvements and suggestions that come through. So it is very important. This every time we do releases, we know that there's a lot of reviews and ratings that comes as a result. We care about that. The feedback is of uttermost importance to us. So regarding the feedback, we're listening, right? Your feedback is important. What I just wanted to say is keep it coming. We love hearing from you from our customer experience team, whether it's on social, whether it's email. Every app review that's positive or negative, someone is looking at it and we reclassify them. We make sure to prioritize the work. And once it's prioritized, we make sure it gets into our cycle. This is very important because we are listening. I know there's a lot of comments that come in and there's many other apps that don't. Meetup is not like that. We care about the human connections. We want to make sure that we do our best for everyone. So the app reviews are important and we want the 5-star reviews from everyone there. So we make sure that it's in a good cycle for us to go and do that. And the last one I would say is the beta testing. For all the things that we want to release before it even hits the market, whether it's user testing or beta testing that we do, it's part of how we evolve our products. So it is something that we have done in the past and will continue to do in the future. But I wanted to just share the mobile team is always conscious of our members, our organizers, and what we need. And we are always looking to improve not just the user experience, but the quality of our apps that ultimately keep everyone there. So on that note, I will pass it off to Annyce.
Okay, thanks a lot, Rajib. And we'll start here. Other one quick updates. Okay. There we go. All right. And we're back in business. Cool. So Meetup, it's an 18-year-old company, right? And it does come with a lot of baggage. And historically, when we talk about how we intend to shed some of it, we're always talking about tech debt, tech debt, tech debt. You've probably heard us say it so many different times. But there's something that's equally as important that we should talk about more, and that's actually product debt. And this happens when you just constantly adding features and changing the product, but this can make things more clunky and the product will start to drag. This is a picture from our native app, which is unfortunately one of the pop-ups that annoys me the most. And this is just a result of product debt that we've been accruing over time. And we know we have a ton of things to fix, right? We just started making a list. It's a lot, right? We get it, and we're doing our best to improve. But what's more than that is we have a plan. And the plan is based on this two-pronged strategy. So first, we're going to focus on boosting the current app's quality. And that involves the following three things: establishing and adhering to mobile app best practices. And I'm going to be talking more and giving some more examples as we go along. Defining personas and target features in order to increase desired behaviors. And then we're also going to focus on increasing overall discoverability of our apps. The second prong of this strategy is releasing a new organizer app. We want this app to provide quality event and group management capabilities. It's also going to integrate the organizer content that we've been creating to help you with growth, and then some additional organizer-based features. And towards the end of the presentation, I'll kind of show you a concept that we have in mind for this particular product. Today, however, I'm going to introduce you to Project Renaissance. This is the code name that we've given to the effort behind improving the app quality. And we really want to establish them as the key mechanism by which we experience future growth as a company. To that end, we've bucketed the recommendations into the following, like best practices, millennials, emerging markets, and Gen Z. When we talk about best practices, these are sort of the no-brainer things that we just need to do, and we're going to get those things done. Next, when we think about millennials, these are people who they customize their apps on their phones. They can use their device with one hand. They're really concerned about the functionality and aesthetic of the products that they use. For emerging markets, these users are especially data savvy. Many of them have to pay for the data that they use, so they're looking for apps that can give them the experience that they want for low cost. And then finally, when we think about Gen Z, the digital natives, these folks grew up with cell phones being a thing. And so they really like to curate their digital lives by means of subscription services. They know about data privacy. They look at their online friends much in the same way as they look at their in real life friends. So we want to make sure that we're developing a product that caters to all of these users. So with that covered, I just want to provide a few examples of how Project Renaissance will support these different buckets or target users. So if we start with just like best practice, these are things like performance, making sure the app loads quickly, having accessibility at the forefront of everything that we do, providing realistic, reasonable, useful user preferences, etc. Here's another example targeting millennials, gestures. I'm going to show you something soon that talks about that. Having smart defaults, being able to customize your app experience, as well as giving users real-time feedback when they're inputting something that's invalid. If we move over to emerging markets, some of those features are things like offline support, battery savings, using iconography in a smart way, and then also having the app feel more social, more alive by incorporating more faces and connections. And then finally, when we think about Gen Z, these are things around like embedded chat, voice features, gamification, widgets. And I'm really excited to show you an example of what we're kind of imagining to provide a more gamified experience in the product. So let's look at the first example. This is very basic, but it's very common to users of native apps like swiping to dismiss. Unfortunately, right now, we mostly only use click events. And so users don't have this. That's something very standard in mostly every app that you use on your phone. That's something that we're going to be bringing to the platform. Here's another example. We want to minimize typing as much as possible. Typing on a mobile keyboard is cumbersome, so we want to provide some smart defaults for that type of interaction. In this particular example, you see the search screen. The person hasn't input anything yet. Why not provide them some top searches that are relevant for their area, this time, etc. Then that way, users can find your events much faster with less friction. And then here's another example using gamification. We can encourage users to join your groups and RSVP to your events. And it just makes using Meetup more enjoyable and game-like for them. On this particular profile screen, we have like badges. We're encouraging them to join more groups, to add more interests, and just so many potential opportunities are available when we start incorporating these type of things into our native apps. So that was fun. That was prong number one, Project Renaissance. And now on to the second prong, the future. This is where we're thinking of splitting up the member app and the organizer app. The member app is the Meetup app as you know it today, minus organizer functionality. We want to move this core organizer functionality into a separate product that really does the best job of group and event management, provides you useful analytics, an attendance taker, a blog feed, and some notifications. So let's walk through just a visual of what that could mean for you as an organizer. This would be an example of your home screen in the organizer app. It should feel familiar, but we want to provide a centralized location for you to interact with the groups that you organize. This can be from changing settings to modifying your upcoming events. Just think about how convenient it is to immediately open your app and you may have to edit something small, just one or two clicks and it's done. Or if you need to copy an event, cancel an event, we want to have that really easy to do directly from within the native apps. And we also want to provide some useful analytics that can help you to see how your group is doing. Just think about this if you want to see your page views by month, or you want to see your total member count, or how that's been changing over time. We have that data, but we need to surface it in a way that you can consume as organizers. I also really like this mock-up because it has like a little tip in it. We know from experience what it takes to have a really amazing meetup group. So we need to share those things with you. And what better way than putting it front and center in a product that you walk around and carry with you all the time? So, what's next? We really want to just hear from you. We're only beginning to think about the possibilities for the Organizer app, and you can let your voice be heard by completing this survey and just let us know like what's a good approach, what are your top demands for inclusion in the app. We have our own perspective from years of experience of like myself also attending meetups, being a meetup organizer and co-organizer, but we really want to hear from you. So please take the time. You can open up your phone right now, use your camera, scan this QR code, and you'll be taken to the survey. We're also going to make sure we share this link with you in any follow-up communications from this event. So thanks so much for your time. And now we're going to open it up for Q&A.
Annyce, I'm going to collaborate with you on some of the different questions that have come up. So one of
Okay.
the quick questions that came up, which is really for you, is why do we feel like it's important to do this now?
I feel that this is the best time to make this move. If you've attended some of our previous Meetup Live events, you've found out that we've been focusing a lot on tech debt and we're moving the majority of our APIs to GraphQL. With that move, that opens up the opportunity for us to consume this data, which was a bit tricky for us to get at previously in the native apps. Also, as you saw, we have an extremely talented native apps team. Right now, in the past, it was a bit smaller, but we've grown to a very solid size. And we're really primed to take advantage of that and execute on this vision.
Great. Another question that came is, are you thinking about anything for offline mode?
Yes, we are. We definitely are. Um, you may want to check if you're on iOS, I believe. If you're on your home screen and then you lose connectivity, you should still be able to see it even now. So part of what we're incorporating into any new screens that we are replatforming is the ability to still use it when you lose network connectivity.
Perfect. There's Verghese asked, and I can take this one. Is the web-based browser access to Meetup going to be phased out? No, it will not. I think separately, we're doing a lot of changes on the website to modernize it as well. I think there's a lot of different things that can be done on mobile that you can't necessarily do on the web. And there's many things you can do on the web that may not be possible or doesn't make sense to do on the app. So we're taking advantages of what we can do best on both sides. So there's a lot of rework happening on both sides. Gwen asked, how are keyword searches going to work?
Keyword searches. I wish I could get a bit more details from that one. But in general, how it works is we have an API, we have a GraphQL API where we can send in our searches. And we also have a data and machine learning team here that can give us things like a canned list of searches or most popular searches or searches that might be relevant for you. So I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, and Glenn, if we're always improving search, right? We know with online events how it merged into in-person events or in real life events. We had to do work to improve our search. We always know that discoverability with the target buckets and what we need to adapt and learn is always going to be something that's evolving. So it will always continue to be a focus. It's something we're continuously looking to evolve, and continually we do evolve it. Next question is, will co-organizers be using the organizer app too?
Yes, that's the plan.
And let me just go through the list. What's the timeline for the roadmap and overall org app? Well, I can start with that, and Annyce, feel free to jump in. A lot of these are in the discovery and design phases right now. So we're making sure that along with what tech is putting into as far as POCs, understanding what we can or cannot do, there's a design and R&D exercise that's happening that's gathering input similar to this. So like Annyce said, please answer the survey, because the more input we get, it becomes very, very valuable to us. So there's going to be the research, there's going to be the planning that's going to be happening from now until Q2 that moves into an engineering cycle. We're still determining for the best practices. We're always going to be moving on that immediately, right? We know what things we have to do. We're not going to wait for 20 things to release our apps. If there's things we finish, we'll iterate, we'll make them better and faster and get them out. The organizer app, it's really a lot of the work is going to happen in Q2 and Q3. So we want to see how fast we can get it out, but we can't discuss the timelines yet because we're still figuring out about what we're actually going to be building. So it is something for this year. It is going to have a deep focus. We know it's going to be iterative with lots of launches, but we want to make sure that we get the best product out there. So it's something we have already started to work on from a product lens already. Okay. I think we have maybe 2 more questions left. Kaya asked if I'm still having problems with members easily accessing photos on our site, and I can't seem to attach a photo through email, what should I do? Ooh, that's a very detailed one. Annyce, do you know what we should do there?
Yeah, you should reach out to customer support. And actually, if we have any customer support people on the call, which I believe we do, would you mind just responding to Kay's requests? Thank you.
All right. Randy Kroom asked, are those organizer analytics going to be available on the website interface too? Yes, we will.
Yes.
And and I just want to add, we're also looking at more stats, right? We know that there's more insights we can pull out that can help everyone, and we want to make sure we start bringing those up to the surface as well. And so we know those are critical, and we are not going to leave any parts of our platform to not have it. Meryl asked, I would like to hear more about the membership app. What is changing? So that's a very good question. I think I just want to reiterate, anything that's great about our apps, any of the functionalities that you're used to now that we know that users love, we're not looking to change those, right? But we know that there's best practices. We might modernize the UI to make it be more easier to use, but the core features and fundamentals will never go away. So I don't want anyone to think we're moving away, we're making drastic changes. No, we're just going to modernize it. We're going to do best practices and make sure that for everyone, that it could be a graceful and excellent experience. John asked, what are the plans to better integrate with other social media platforms? I can take part of this question. So one of the things that if you're an organizer and you're setting up the events, we are looking at partnerships where video integration, where we're looking at how you can live stream to other platforms, how we can do that seamlessly. We know that is something that has come up, and we know that it is something that we want to do. We're actually evaluating many options to be able to do that, including our own. And something we are mindful of to make a decision on quick. We know that we will need to do that. We want to do that. So there are plans, which again are in the research stage right now, for what we want to do. For social media, from the apps and anything else from sharing and those things, I think we can always do more over there. We'll always do best practices. But I think outside of that, I don't know if there's anything specific that you want to call out, Annyce. But for me, it was really, we're looking at the live streaming and being able to share those across the social platforms very easily.
Yeah, I'll say the only thing that we've also added to our list is better sharing functionality. And so without getting like extremely technical, we may want to provide our own custom share implementation so that you can share with users like within the Meetup platform and then outside of it very easily from the mobile apps.
Yep, I want to double down on what Annyce just said. We want to make it easy for you to share as well. We know that we can do improvements to make it easier to get people to groups, to get people to events, and we want to make that as seamless as we can. The next question we have is, will Meetup continue to support online-only meetups even as the pandemic restrictions lift? Yes, we will continue to support online events. We believe that that's part of the new normal. We also believe that if you have in-person events and you want to do online events, that should be a path for that. So there's a lot of under the hood work that we're doing to figure out how we can give the best experience and have it be as flexible as we can. Umair asked, do you plan on live events to happen on the app natively? Sometimes not user-friendly, where the group shows Zoom link or emails later or takes to another website or for registration.
I think this is kind of related to what Rajib mentioned earlier. We are considering incorporating some functionality for like live events or video. So this question sort of has already been addressed.
Yes. Daniel asks, like, the idea of badges, are those group specific or are they event specific? For instance, can my hiking group have badges for Miles Hike?
That's a cool idea. They're actually app specific, but we hadn't considered allowing individual groups to have their own custom badges. I think that's a great idea, which I hope you put in your survey response.
Yeah, that's a great
but
one.
I'm keeping note of it.
Brian asked, if an organizer also wants to participate in meetups that they don't organize, will they need to use 2 different apps for that?
No, if you want to participate in meetups just as a member, no, then you could just use your member app. The organizer app is specifically for group and event management. If you don't want to take advantage of that app, you can also use the web. We're not taking away any of the functionality.
Devana asked, will you all eventually add a wider support for adding registration, video access links to the event creation section? Yes, that's a great question. We are looking for ways to improve that whole process as a whole. So as we're looking at how events are created, how groups are created, how to leverage our platform to be able to help our audience or our members find the right groups, but at the same time help organizers to find people to participate. We are always looking to improve that whole cycle. So if the question is really about wider support for it, I think the answer is yes. Registration is already part of that. Video access links to event creation. Yes, we are going to be also expanding the video access link. Also knowing that if it became a real life event, in-person event, that you still may want to have both. And we are also figuring out how we can ensure that we keep all of it. Barry asked, are there improvements planned for organizing online meetings?
Yes. Yeah, we're definitely planning some improvements. One thing that we're investigating is improved Zoom integration. So we'll definitely keep you posted, and we'll try to keep doing these events to share our preliminary thoughts on these things. But yeah, we know it's sort of a pain, and we want to get better.
Yeah, the last thing I will add to that is we know that, and we recognize as Meetup that the video experiences that Zoom or Google Hangouts or anything has isn't necessarily the same type of experience that in-person folks would have. And during the pandemic, it is very, if you will, binary in the way we have it today. So when we're looking at other online video tools, we are taking into account the different types of meetings, whether they're panelists that are speaking, whether it's a single person, whether it's for a book club, they're all very, very different. And what we need to solve for is very different. And that is top of mind for us when we're evaluating. So we're very conscious of the type of events and the type of groups that participate and what we need to solve for. Mark asked, will the ideas of the organizer app be available to web-based users so I don't have to install another app? This is a great question. I think this is part of what we're doing as in regards to the R&D. when we are looking for features that we'll be building, we always know that we want parity between the web and the mobile experience. So that is not something that worries us, but it may mean that the app releases first and then the next month it comes onto the web. So there's a question of timing for new features. We don't like to delay features going out to the market because honestly, we get the feedback early and then we're able to iterate quickly and take those learnings onto the other cross platforms that we're building on. So, but we're not going to say we're only doing one thing on one area and keep it away from the other areas. We know that if our members and organizers really use those things, we want to make sure that we have it everywhere. Ooh, this is a good question. Annyce, this is for you. Web applications, progressive web app, hybrid apps, and native apps. Why and what priority?
Yeah, we're really focused on native apps. However, that doesn't preclude a cross-platform solution. And not React Native before everyone starts saying React Native in the chat. If anything, I've been researching Kotlin multi-platform mobile.
Yes, and there's a lot of personal opinions between apps and if they should be using the website and progressive. I think the team here, we together feel native for what we do is the right thing right now, which is why our apps are native. And I think for the short future, we know that that's the path we'll continue to build the apps in. All right, I am going through the list and I think we have answered most of the questions. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I believe we've answered all the questions. All right. Well, I'm very happy for all the wonderful questions that we received here. I hope this was a great event for everyone. I know there's going to be a ton of, I wish I could see more. I wish I knew what all the designs look like. I wish we knew exactly when this is coming out. All I will say is we understand, we are with you, we are working through this. And as I promised back 2 months ago, the tech updates are going to always keep coming. Every 2 months or so, if not earlier, we're always going to be sharing. We try to sometimes do it after the product roadmaps discussions or product strategy. Sometimes we do it first, they do it after. But in the spirit, we're going to continue doing this and keeping everyone up to date on what's happening on the tech front. Right, Annyce, on that front, do you want to add anything before we sign off?
Just thanks a lot for coming and thanks for the great questions.
All right, everyone, thanks for your time. Have a great one.
See ya.